we're just gonna see some stuff.
All I wanted to be was a hero. I saw my life's path ahead of me.
Ichi, would you be willing to get arrested for the family? Reputation is everything. If a Yakuza shows weakness, he's done.
Hit it! I've been waiting to open this door for 18 years.
Here comes the hot stepper.
A dream is what keeps you going. So I say you do it, just like you wanted. Become a hero. Let's start a brand new age of heroes.
Well, this just got complicated.
No, we don't hide. Yes, we must reply.
You always attract the weirdos.
My lady say,
Time to call a friend! You sure know how to make an
here
entrance.
comes the hot stepper.
You can tell us what the hell is going on here.
Get this man a diaper.
Yeah, man. So what is
I'm sure all of us here are a little crazy, but that's the best part of being friends. Let's get nutty!
Play it on the all-new Xbox.
We're very excited about this title. I know the guy sitting to my left is excited for this title.
Very excited.
And I gotta say, having watched that, it is one of the wildest games I've ever seen for Xbox. Yakuza Like a Dragon looks like it's got something for literally everyone. I'm looking at you, Fighting Crawfish. Here to tell us more about the latest entry into this cult classic series, senior producer Scott Strichart. Scott, welcome to the stream.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh man, thank you for being here. And I will say thank you for making Jeff's day come true. But we'll get to some of that a little bit later. That's the one. It is. Now, for someone who's never played Yakuza, the Yakuza title, of course, that storied franchise, what should they know about the series before they jump right in?
This one is one of the ones that you can almost pretty much jump right into because it's a brand new protagonist, Ichiban Kasuga, set in a brand new city of Yokohama, Japan, and also it's a brand new action turn-based battle system.
All right, so we're looking at live gameplay here right now, right? So tell us, this is, if you've played, let's say Yakuza 0, you've played Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2, which are part of Xbox Game Pass, you should do that right now. I don't know why you're watching the show. This looks a lot different than what you're used to, but at the same time, there's a lot of familiar things. And tell us about how you turn this into an RPG without losing the flavor and what makes Yakuza Yakuza.
We've absolutely taken the Yakuza formula, which is, you know, a pretty high octane kind of battle system, and turned that into what you'd expect from an RPG. And the marriage of those two systems is this. You know, you get a lot of really crazy kind of battles. It hasn't lost that Yakuza spirit at all. It's very fast paced. It's still got some action elements to it. There's just a lot going on, and it's really fun.
I like that. There's a lot going on. Yeah, no kidding, Scott. There is a lot going on in that trailer we just saw, and I don't know. It's like there's a part of me trying to figure out what to even start and unpack. But Jeff, our resident expert here, I feel like this is a great time. You're looking at gameplay. What's your first impression here? What's your thing that you're pulling out?
Well, I gotta say, you guys are way further in the game than I am. So I'm like, you get 7 people? So we could talk about the party system. We could talk about how great the game looks. I'm assuming you're playing in, there's a couple different, there's like high resolution mode. I think you're in sort of the normal quote performance mode. And the game looks, it is the best looking Yakuza game to date. I don't think there's any debate about that. But where to start? Why don't we start with like the new locale, which is Yokohama. We've been in Tokyo and Kamurocho for the previous Yakuza games, and also spending some time down in Sotenbori. But this is a new place, and I can tell I'm like maybe 10 hours in, and I have seen very little of what there is to offer in the town. Mostly because if I cross this one street, all the goons are like super tough and they will kick my butt.
Just like real life.
Just like real life.
Tell us about Yokohama.
Yeah, so it's our brand new city. Ichiban gets dumped off here in very early in the game. I won't spoil that, but the impetus for going to Yokohama, we've got these three factions that are essentially fighting for control over Yokohama. And when Ichiban kind of gets involved in their drama, and as you've been talking about, this city is massive. It's 3 times the size of Kamurocho if you've been exploring that. And you can essentially take on these different various factions as you kind of cross into the different areas. So there's a commercial district, there's a homeless district, there's a uptown and a low town and a park, and kind of these different factions control different areas. And yes, if you aren't strong enough to go there, you should not go there.
Yeah, you should definitely pay attention. It'll say in the neighborhood how many stars are there, and that's how difficult it will be there. And if you ignore it, you lose half your money when
Is he
you battle.
dance fighting?
Let's talk about this.
Can you bring me through here? I'm both intrigued and very concerned.
So yes, there's a whole RPG-based job system in our game. You can essentially unlock and change jobs, but of course, in your classic RPGs, you have fighter, thieves, mages, and those kinds of things, right? But you take that and apply it to the real world, and as a result, we've got musicians and dancers and idols and you name it, it's here. There's just a lot of jobs that you can level up, and it's what makes it really cool is just that you go in expecting like a warrior and a thief, and you're like, okay, I know how these jobs play. I know what to do with a thief. He's going to steal something. Whereas you go to a musician, and you're like, I'm not sure what this guy's going to do at all, or this breakdancer, what are his moves going to be like? And the more you level them up, the more zany they get.
So we see these QTEs here, and moving from a series that had been known all about brawlers and really like action, and you kind of needed some stamina to like fight some of these tougher characters and dodging out of the way and blocking at the right time. And I was wondering how that would translate to a game where, like, if whoever's steering the game right now puts the controller down, like the game would effectively stop if it's your turn. However, when you're into it, this is not something you can sort of sleepwalk through these battles. There's a lot of times you want to hit the timing exactly right. Like right there, you hit the Y button for more battle. That's a tough folk singer right there. And I actually got super into, like, on the defensive side, you've got to hit B at like just the right time, and you can do sort of perfect blocks. So it is while it's a turn-based RPG, this is not just like, all right, I'll just hit A and I'll just go to the next thing and select and select and select.
I'll take it.
Right. Yeah, it does keep you on your toes. That's kind of that marriage I was talking about. It's just we took an action system and applied that to an RPG system so that you can, it's not going to be passive. You are going to want to think about where the people are positioned and how your guys are interacting with each other. Even in the sense that if you put yourself between a traffic cone or a sign and you between the enemy, you can weave that into your attack. You'll just pick up that traffic cone and automatically wallop some dudes with it. So it's not just a sleepwalk through a battle system kind of thing.
Well, here's a question that I know is ripe on Jeff's mind. Ripe on a mind? That's a thing?
No.
Okay,
Let's not try to make that a thing.
Okay. Guess there goes Fletch, too. Anyway, I will say, how do we've seen party members here. How do party members join the campaign? Talk to me about that aspect.
Right. So you're going to be recruiting this ragtag team of down and out kind of guys. Your first friend is essentially a homeless dude that you kind of befriend as you are dropped off in this homeless camp, and then you befriend this ex-cop, and it's just this group of people who have been on the downside of the socioeconomic thing in Japan, and together you find a common cause, and your team just grows and grows and grows because Kasuga here is actually a very charismatic dude. He has a lot of things about him that just draw people to him, I guess. He's that type of protagonist, and we spend a long time at the beginning of the game really building up him and his backstory and teaching you kind of what Kasuga is all about. We're a very narrative heavy game. It's a lot of cutscenes. It's a lot, you can settle down with your drink of choice that you might want to sip and sit down at the beginning of the game, and then the deeper you get, the more it rewards you.
That drink is probably in the game, by the way, because there's all kinds of real Japanese brands in there that I wish I could get a hold of right now. So let's talk about Kasuga. Ichiban Kasuga is the hero here. We're used to seeing Kiryu Kazuma from the previous games. This is like a new starting point, and you're building him up from nothing. So I want to talk about him, and then I also want to talk about the voice acting as well. So why don't we talk about Kasuga the character, and then we'll talk about who's bringing them to life.
Sure. Kasuga is he's a optimistic young Yakuza who grew up playing JRPGs, his favorite game, Dragon Quest, and that informs his life.
like
That
me.
informs kind of his.
Just a bio there, Jeff.
Yeah,
It's
so,
okay
I mean,
to admit I was the inspiration. It's okay.
absolutely. We base Ichiban Kasuga on Jeff, and no, he he's got this mindset about him where he's everything he's learned about positivity and being a hero is essentially taken from JRPGs that he grew up with, which is informs what he sees when you get into these battles. They're kind of through the lens of Kasuga in that he's seeing a battle play out like a JRPG. So of course the game had to be an RPG. That's how he sees battles play out in his head. And as a result, Kasuga is, like I said, he's this ex-Yakuza. He doesn't really know what to do with his life. Very early on in the game, there's a situation he gets in with his boss that betrays him, and now you kind of have Kasuga kind of looking to find a purpose, and it's in all these other people and all these ragtag group of people that he recruits into his party that where he finds that.
For
And then you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the voices, but since we're here in like one of these like Sega arcades, I just love that. When you're thinking about like a gangster story, you might be thinking of Goodfellas or something,
Sure.
and this is a game. Good grab. You can grab a puppy out of a crane machine.
I mean,
there's
is
something.
there anything better?
Are you sure that how long did you practice that to be able to get that on the first try? Because that I would drop a lot of yen into
That is
that.
achievement unlocked.
We're all getting a lot of achievements here today. So let's talk about what's bringing this to life. So in the previous Yakuza games, they were all in with Japanese language with subtitles, and that's how you've gotten to know those characters. And we spoke actually a few weeks ago on the Xbox podcast with Major Nelson, and we met KG Tang, who is voicing the English language character of Kasuga. And like when we first booked that interview, I was like, oh, that's nice. Somebody will use that. Not me. But because we met him and he's really nice, I was like, we'll start it up and I'll put it on English to start, because I'm a nice guy. I met him.
Sure.
And he's amazing. He's really good. And I have continued to play the game in Japanese. And I've noticed that he really brings Kasuga to life in just like a phenomenal way. And I know I'm losing my standing here with the Yakuza community by playing in English. But I just want to say it's a phenomenal job. And I also wanted to call it George Takei from Star Trek, and is the voice of Arakawa. And this is not like you've probably seen like, oh my, like sort of zany George Takei. This is serious George Takei, and he delivers an amazing performance that like sort of haunts you afterwards. He's seen a lot of stuff, and it's really impressive the level. And this is a lot of what you do, I know, Scott. So talk about the effort that went into the localization here, and especially now in English voice.
Yeah, so we decided to bring an English dub to this primarily because it's a whole new cast. I don't think we would have ever touched that with Kazuma Kiryu and the team, kind of who are, those guys are the fan favorites, and you establish what those Japanese voices are because they're part and parcel with those characters, right? But here we saw an opportunity to bring an English cast here to, hope widen the door a little bit. I think that there's some people out there who are, obviously the core fans are going to be like, this is the game that you play in Japanese, and that's perfectly understandable. But the opportunity to bring in more fans with an English dub to particularly, make it a little easier to access, and then you can flip languages whenever you want if you ever want to go back to the Japanese, because the Japanese performances are equally as amazing, if not more so. So our English cast, like you said, yeah, we've got some big heavy hitters here. We go to all links just to make sure that we're capturing the Japanese essence. This happens. I can't tell you how many interviews I've been on and seen Kasuga get hit by a car and just get absolutely off train. I'm so.
He heals quick.
He's clearly walking it off. Hey, here's a question for you. So we were just talking about, the fans primarily and fans of the series, as Jeff would mention. Are there any familiar areas that we'll be visiting from past games that we want to make sure we mention?
Oh, absolutely. You start the game off in Kamurocho. You're starting the game off in a flashback to the year 2000. So that's going to feel really familiar. And that's what this game does so well, is it pulls you into that familiar and then pulls you right back out of it. And so we do have Sotenbori. There's a quick trip there, and Kamurocho. And obviously there's some familiar mini games like karaoke. It's back in a brand new way with English singing throughout. If you've chosen the English voice track, we have over 15 different mini games, some returning, some new, and it's you will feel right at home in a Yakuza game, regardless of the new city and the character.
All right, so we're running low on time here. I could watch you play this all the time, and I think this will be one of those games you'll jump into. Without any spoilers, we were going to ask you about characters from previous games. I hadn't seen the trailer that we just showed here. I don't know who chose Ini Kamosi, Here Comes the Hot Stepper, but it completely worked. The trailers, whoever's putting the trailers together on this campaign, have been phenomenal throughout the start. And at the end, we saw somebody that's familiar, so I think it's safe to say we will see some familiar faces. I won't say any more than that, because you want those to hit a little. You want them to hit hard in the moment. So, Scott, thank you so much, and whoever's playing the game, well done. Sorry about the running into the car, but thank you so much for joining us and walking our viewers through the very crazy, very wild, and yet incredibly compelling Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.